Hi folks, Mark here, and in this video I wanted to take a look at this very special car, a 1964 Aston Martin DB5. Now, on a recent trip up to Aston Martin in Newport Pagnell, I'd originally gone up to take an exclusive look at the DB11 Volante. I've done a video for that and it's linked in the description below. However, when I entered the showroom, this was the sight that greeted me. A DB5, a new Vantage, and then a Volante at the back. But today, in this video, we're going to look exclusively at this DB5. As design goes, I don't think there's any car that's more recognisable than a DB5. You'd be hard pushed to find anything. This particular example, as I say, is a 1964 version, but the DB5 was produced between 1963 and 1965, and it's regarded by many, including myself, as the most beautiful Aston Martin that they've made. It also carries the legendary status of being James Bond's car of choice, first appearing in the James Bond film back in the 60s, Goldfinger. Now, of course, that car that he drove was in silver birch, which is another hand-in-hand iconic classic colour of Aston Martin. This example comes in this very beautifully finished deep red. I've never seen an example in this colour before. The examples that I've seen previously at exhibitions and car rallies have been in the traditional silver birch, but this car in this red is just stunning to look at. I think it's really, really beautiful. As with the replacement Vantage, I found it virtually impossible to find any bad angle of this car. Every detail is finished to perfection, every angle just looks stunning to behold. When we came to the interior of the car, it was another feast for all the senses. Sight, smell, touch. It's finished in this black leather, which is very soft, very supple, but when you open up a car like this, you get this smell that comes over you that it's very hard to describe. It's a classic car smell, and it's just great. Every part of this interior has been carefully thought through, and the attention to detail has been second to none. One thing I'm a great fan of is the interiors of these cars, these period classic cars, which are now becoming very retro. You know, you've got proper toggle switches, you've got a proper clock, a choke, you know, all the dials and gauges. You know, you've got oil temperatures, water temperatures, you've got a fuel gauge, you've got your speedo, your revs, you've got the electrical amps indicated as well. And it's just these attentions to details that you don't get in modern cars, I think, are just such brilliant additions. And you know, all these proper toggle switches, proper gauges, it's just a joy to sit in that environment. And I consider myself very lucky that I got to sit in this car and kind of enjoy the experience of being in that cockpit for a few minutes. Another feast for the eyes that comes with this car is once the engine bay is opened, you've got the bonnet up, and you can take a look at this rather magnificent, lovingly restored, beautiful engine. In this case, it's a 4-litre straight 6. Obviously, Aston Martin didn't introduce anything like V8s until many, many years later. But in this case, it's a 5-speed manual gearbox, and this engine produces 282 brake horsepower. As with all classic cars, once the engine bay's opened, you also get the smells of the engine, the oils and the lubricants, which are just things that you don't get anymore from modern cars. And it's one of the charms, I think, of classic car motoring and ownership, that you get the sights, the sounds, the smells and the touch of these classic materials that are used. This Aston Martin has been lovingly restored. It is a superb example. Whoever ends up buying this car is going to be a very lucky individual, and I'm sure will have years of pleasure from it. I hope you've enjoyed this look at the Aston Martin DB5. If you have, please like, please subscribe, please share, and thanks very much for watching.